You must have seen different baby animals around you. This is a calf. This is a puppy. This is a kitten, and this is a colt. All these animals are baby animals. Do you know where these baby animals come from?
Adult animals produce their babies.
An adult dog produces a puppy. An adult cat produces a kitten. An adult cow produces a calf. An adult horse produces a colt.
So, animals produce young ones like them.
Not only the animals, even plants reproduce. This is a bean seed. A small bean plant grows out the bean seed. This is a ginger stem. A small ginger plant grows out of the ginger stem. This is a bryophyllum leaf. A small bryophyllum plant grows out of the bryophyllum leaf. This is a sweet potato root. A small sweet potato plant grows out of the sweet potato root.
So, plants too produce young ones like them.
All the living things produce young ones like them. The process by which living things produce young ones like them is called reproduction. Different living things reproduce in different ways. Now let us discuss about the various ways in which living things reproduce. This is a hen. You all know that a hen reproduces by laying eggs. A hen first lays eggs. After that, it continuously sits over its eggs, covering them under its feathers. After 21 days, a chick hatches from the egg.
Like a hen, a duck, a snake, a crocodile, and a frog also lay eggs to reproduce.
But an elephant does not lay eggs to reproduce. An elephant gives direct birth to its calf.
Like an elephant, a tiger a cat, a dog, a buffalo also give direct birth to their babies.
An elephant is a multicellular animal, isn't it? It has well-developed respiratory, circulatory, nervous, digestive, and excretory systems. All the body systems of an elephant are well developed. An animal which has well-developed body systems is said to be a higher animal.
Like an elephant, a cow, a fish, a crocodile are also higher animals.
All these vertebrates are higher animals. And all the higher animals reproduce either by laying eggs or by giving direct birth. Students, you all know that an amoeba is a unicellular animal. It does not have well-developed respiratory, circulatory, nervous, digestive or excretory systems. So, an amoeba is not a higher animal.
An amoeba is a lower animal.
An amoeba neither lays eggs nor gives direct birth to reproduce. Then, have you ever wondered how an amoeba reproduces? Well, let me tell you. Take a look at this amoeba. It is dividing itself into two identical amoeba.
The two amoebae also formed multiply into 4 amoebae and so on.
The process of reproduction in which a unicellular animal divides into 2 and then 4 and then 8 and so on is called fission. So, an amoeba reproduces by a process known as fission. As male and female gametes do not form during fission, fission is a type of asexual reproduction. So, an amoeba is an animal which reproduces asexually.
Animals like a plasmodium and a paramecium also reproduce asexually. Animals like a sponge and a hydra also reproduce asexually. However, they have different methods of asexual reproduction.
Students, you all must have seen the mustard plant. Do you know how a mustard plant reproduces? Well, let me explain. Take a look at this mustard flower. Observe it carefully.
A mustard flower has 4 whorls: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynocium.
Androecium is the male part of a flower, while the gynocium is its female part. A single unit of androecium is called the stamen. Now look at the stamen. It has 2 parts.
It is its anther and it is its filament.
An anther produces some powdery substances inside it. These powdery substances are known as pollen grains. A pollen grain too produces a kind of cell which takes part in the reproduction.
These cells are known as reproductive cells.
Reproductive cells inside a pollen grain are also known as male gametes. Now have a look at this part of the mustard flower. It is a single unit of the gynocium. It is called carpel. A carpel has 3 different parts.
This part of carpel is stigma. This part is style and this part is ovary.
Now let us observe the ovary. Here you can see small bodies. These bodies are called ovules.
Like a pollen grain, an ovule too produces reproductive cells inside it. These cells are the female gametes.
When a male gamete of stamen fuses with the female gamete of the carpel, a new cell is formed. This new cell is known as the zygote.
A zygote develops into a baby plant. A baby plant, in turn, grows into a new plant.
In this way, a mustard plant produces its young ones. As a mustard plant involves male and female gametes for the reproduction, we say that a mustard plant reproduces sexually.
Like a mustard plant, a rose plant, maize plant, a pine tree, and apple tree also reproduce sexually.
All the plants which bear flowers are higher plants. The higher plants reproduce sexually. Students, you must have seen a fern plant. A fern plant does not bear flowers.
So, a fern plant is a non-flowering plant.
And no flower means no male and female gametes. So, a fern plant cannot reproduce sexually. Have you ever wondered how a fern plant reproduces? Well, let me tell you. Take a look at the underground part of the fern plant. It is not a root, it is a stem.
Underground stem of a fern plant is known as rhizome. A new fern plant can grow from a rhizome.
A fern plant has a kind of cell in its leaves. These cells are called spores. A new fern plant can grow from the spores as well. As a fern plant does not form male and female gametes to reproduce, it also reproduces asexually.
Like a fern plant, a mushroom plant also does not bear flowers. So, a mushroom plant is also a non-flowering plant.
No flowers means no male and female gametes, doesn't it? Then, have you ever wondered how a mushroom plant reproduces?
Like a fern plant, a mushroom plant also has spores. A mushroom plant reproduces through these spores.
A mushroom plant, too, does not form male and female gametes for reproduction. So, a mushroom plant also reproduces asexually.
All the non-flowering plants are lower plants. Lower plants reproduce asexually.
Students, let us suppose that an elephant does not reproduce. What would happen if an elephant did not reproduce?
We would never see an elephant again.
An elephant has definite lifespan. One day it certainly dies. If the elephant does not reproduce, we will never see another elephant again. If a hen does not reproduce, we will never see another hen again. If a mustard plant does not reproduce, we will never see another mustard plant again. If a mushroom plant does not reproduce, we will never see another mushroom plant again.
So, if the living things do not reproduce, we will never see them again.
Students, now tell me, can a tiger reproduce an elephant?
Obviously not.
A tiger can reproduce only another tiger. It cannot reproduce an elephant. only an elephant can reproduce another elephant. Likewise, a donkey cannot reproduce a cat. A donkey can reproduce only another donkey. Only a fern plant can reproduce another fern plant.
So, the living thing of a kind cannot reproduce the living thing of a next kind. It can only reproduce the living thing of its own kind.
If any of the living things don't reproduce, its kind will disappear. So, reproduction is also an important life process.